Michael Carter woke up with a pounding headache and a mouth that tasted like sandpaper. The morning sunlight streaming through his bedroom window in their Chicago townhouse felt unbearably bright. But what really confused him was the warm body pressed against his back and the heavy metallic weight on his right wrist. "What the?" he mumbled, trying to turn around, but something yanked his hand back with a loud clank. "Ow!" came a feminine voice from behind him. Michael's eyes flew open. That was Sarah's voice. His wife's voice. The wife he was supposed to divorce today. The wife he hadn't shared a bed with in over 2 years. "Sarah, what are you doing in my bed?" he asked groggily. "Your bed." Sarah's voice was sharp even through her sleepiness. "This is our bed, Michael. The question is, what are you doing here?" They both tried to sit up at the same time, and that's when they discovered the real problem. A heavy metal chain connected Michael's right wrist to Sarah's left wrist with professional handcuffs on both ends. "What the hell is this?" Michael shouted, yanking his hand and making Sarah yelp. "Stop pulling. You're hurting me." Sarah snapped, examining the handcuffs closely. "Michael, why are we chained together?" "How should I know? I'm just as confused as you are." They both looked around the room and froze. The bedroom looked like something out of a romantic movie. Rose petals were scattered everywhere. Dozens of candles had burned down to waxy puddles. Family photos were arranged around the room like some kind of shrine. "What kind of prank is this?" Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with shock. "This has to be some kind of joke," Michael said, tugging at the handcuffs again. "These things are real. Where did they even come from?" "Grandma Rose." Sarah suddenly screamed at the top of her lungs. "Kids, get in here right now." From outside the locked bedroom door came muffled giggling and what sounded suspiciously like someone saying, "Shoo." "Did you hear that?" Michael asked. "Rose, open this door." Sarah yelled again. This time they clearly heard 3 young voices whispering urgently, followed by the sound of footsteps running away. "The triplets," Michael and Sarah said at the same time, then glared at each other. "Your children have lost their minds," Sarah said accusingly. "My children? They're our children." "Well, your grandmother has clearly corrupted them." "Grandma Rose is your grandmother too. We've been married for 10 years, remember?" Michael tried to stand up, forgetting about the chain, and immediately pulled Sarah off the bed. She crashed into him, and they both tumbled to the floor in a tangle of limbs and metal. "Get off me." Sarah pushed against his chest. "I'm trying." "Stop moving. Stop telling me what to do." "Rose!" They both screamed together. The day before had been completely different. When the triplets, Grace, Daniel and Samuel, returned home from their 2-week visit with great-grandma Rose, they expected the usual warm welcome. Their parents always greeted them with hugs, jokes, and a million questions about their time away. Instead, they found the house strangely quiet. "Why is everything so silent?" Grace asked, her excitement dimming. Daniel, the analytical one of the 3, pushed his glasses up nervously. "Maybe they're planning a surprise party?" "Or maybe something's wrong," Samuel added, his adventurous spirit momentarily dampened by the eerie atmosphere. They found their parents sitting on opposite ends of their large sectional sofa, looking miserable. Their mother's eyes were red and swollen. Their father was staring at his hands like they held secrets he couldn't bear to share. "Welcome back, my darlings," Sarah said, trying to smile but failing spectacularly. "Mom, why do you look like you've been crying?" Grace asked immediately. "Did somebody die? And why is Dad sitting so far away?" Samuel added, plopping down between his parents. "Normally you're always sitting together." Daniel remained standing, arms crossed. "Something's wrong. You both look terrible." Michael cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Kids, sit down. Your mother and I need to discuss something very important with you." The formal tone made all 3 children freeze. This wasn't their usual playful father. "Are we in trouble?" Grace asked nervously. No, sweetheart. This has nothing to do with you, Sarah said softly, taking a shaky breath. Your father and I, while you were away, we had some serious conversations, and we've made a very difficult decision. What kind of decision? Samuel asked, suddenly worried. Sarah and Michael exchanged a long look across the sofa. Finally, Michael spoke the words that would change everything. Kids, your mother and I have decided to get a divorce. The announcement hit the room like a bomb. The triplets sat in stunned silence for exactly 2 seconds before chaos erupted. What? All three screamed at the same time. Divorce. Grace jumped up, hands on her hips like a tiny lawyer. What does that even mean? It means they don't want to be married anymore, Daniel explained, his voice cracking. I've seen it in movies. But why? Samuel's eyes filled with tears. Don't you love each other anymore? It's complicated, sweetheart, Michael started. Everything's always complicated with grown-ups. Grace threw her hands in the air. Why can't you just fix it like you tell us to fix our problems? We tried, darling, Sarah said softly, her voice wobbling. But sometimes when two people can't get along anymore, it's better for everyone if they live separately. Different houses. Samuel's voice went up an octave. But we don't want different houses. We want to live together like a real family. You'll still be a real family, Michael tried to explain. You'll just spend some days with Mom and some days with Dad. Like passing us back and forth like a basketball? Daniel asked sarcastically. Grace stamped her foot so hard the floor shook. We want a complete family. Like Tommy's family and everyone else at school. Daniel had been quiet, processing everything with his serious 8-year-old brain. Finally, he spoke with a question that made both parents freeze. Is there someone else? What do you mean? Michael asked, looking shocked. I watch TV. I know about these things. Dad, do you have a girlfriend? The uncomfortable silence that followed was louder than any answer. You do. Grace gasped, pointing at her father like a prosecutor. Dad, you have a girlfriend? It's not that simple, Michael began. Either you do or you don't, Samuel interrupted. Adults always make simple things complicated. Kids, please, Sarah pleaded, tears flowing down her cheeks. This is already hard enough. Hard for who? Grace demanded. Hard for you. You're the grown-ups. You get to make all the decisions. We're just supposed to bounce around between two houses. The room fell silent except for Sarah's sniffling and the hum of the air conditioner. Finally, Grace spoke with determination. When is this divorce happening? Next week, Michael answered quietly. We have a court appointment on Monday. Grace looked at her brothers. Daniel was thinking furiously, his forehead wrinkled. Samuel was trying not to cry. Next week. Grace repeated slowly. That gives us 7 days. 7 days for what? Sarah asked. Grace stood up like a general addressing troops. 7 days to stop this foolish divorce and fix our family. Grace, darling, it's not that easy. Adults always say things aren't easy when they don't want to work hard enough, Grace interrupted, sounding exactly like Great-Grandma Rose. Daniel, Samuel. Emergency triplet meeting. Now. The 3 children marched out with military precision, leaving their stunned parents behind. Did we just get dismissed by an 8-year-old? Michael asked weakly. I think we did, Sarah replied. And for the first time in months, she almost smiled. If you're enjoying this family drama, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories, and drop a comment telling us what you think will happen next. Will the triplets succeed? Type part in the comments if you want to see what happens when Great-Grandma Rose arrives. While their parents sat in uncomfortable silence downstairs, the triplets assembled in Grace's pink bedroom for their emergency meeting. Grace lit one of her birthday candles to make it feel official, though Daniel kept worrying about fire hazards. "Okay, team," Grace announced, trying to sound like the action heroes in movies. "We have a crisis. Our parents have completely lost their minds." "Totally lost them," Samuel agreed, nodding vigorously. "Like when I lost my favorite soccer ball and it turned up in the washing machine." "You put it there yourself," Daniel pointed out. "Focus, people." "We have 7 days to save our family," Grace continued. "But first, we need to gather information. Did anyone notice anything weird before we left for Great-Grandma's house?" Daniel pushed his glasses up nervously. They were barely talking to each other. And Dad was on his phone all the time, smiling at messages. "The girlfriend," Grace said darkly. "We need to know more about her." "How do we find out?" Samuel asked. Daniel thought for a moment. "I heard Dad on the phone last night. He was talking to someone named Jennifer. He called her baby." Grace's face turned red with anger. "Baby. He's calling someone else baby while he's still married to Mom. What do we do?" Samuel looked between his siblings anxiously. Grace stopped pacing and looked at her brothers with fierce determination. "We call the one person who can fix this mess." "Who?" Daniel and Samuel asked together. "Great-Grandma Rose." "Yes." Samuel jumped up excitedly. "Great-Grandma Rose doesn't play around. Remember when she made that parking officer tear up Dad's ticket by bringing him homemade cookies and talking about his mother? And when she convinced the cable company to give us 3 free months by refusing to hang up until they fixed our service?" Daniel grinned. "And when she caught that store clerk being rude and she lectured him about customer service until his manager gave us a discount?" Grace added. They all looked at each other as the same realization hit them. "If anyone can stop this divorce, it's Great-Grandma Rose," they declared together. Grace grabbed her pink phone and dialed the number they all knew by heart. After 3 rings, a powerful voice filled the room. "Rose Carter speaking. If this is another telemarketer, I already told you people I don't want whatever you're selling." "Great-Grandma? It's us," Grace shouted into the phone. "My precious triplets. Are you calling to tell me you miss my cooking already?" "Great-Grandma, we have a big emergency," Samuel said, grabbing the phone. "Mom and Dad want to get a divorce." There was complete silence on the other end. "Then, they want to do what?" The phone was so loud that all 3 children jumped back. "A divorce, Great-Grandma," Daniel said carefully. "They told us today when we got home." "Over my dead body." Great-Grandma Rose's voice boomed. "After 10 years of marriage? After giving me 3 beautiful great-grandchildren? What kind of nonsense is this?" "We don't know," Grace said sadly. "They said it's complicated." "Complicated. Everything's complicated until you decide to fix it properly. Who's the other woman?" The triplets looked at each other in amazement. "How did you know there was another woman?" Samuel asked. "Child, I've been alive for 78 years. I can smell a cheating man from 3 counties away. What's her name?" "Jennifer," Daniel said quietly. "She works with Dad at his accounting firm." "Jennifer." Great-Grandma Rose snorted. "Of course it's Jennifer. It's always Jennifer or Ashley or some girl with a name that sounds like a soap opera character. Well, this Jennifer is about to learn that she picked the wrong family to mess with." "What are you going to do, Great-Grandma?" Samuel asked excitedly. "First, I'm coming to Chicago tonight. Second, we're going to remind your foolish father why he married your mother in the first place. Third, we're going to make Miss Jennifer understand that stealing another woman's husband is a very bad idea." "How?" Grace asked, fascinated. "Leave that to Great-Grandma Rose, my dear. I didn't survive the Great Depression, World War II, and the invention of the internet by being gentle with homewreckers. Now listen carefully. You children must not let your parents sign any divorce papers until I get there. Can you do that?" "Yes, Great-Grandma." "Good. And act normal around them. Don't let them know we're planning anything. Can you do that too? We'll try, Daniel said doubtfully. Don't try, do. I should be there by tomorrow evening. Pack your thinking caps, children. We have a family to save. After they hung up, the triplets looked at each other with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Do you think she can really stop the divorce? Samuel asked. If anyone can, it's Great-Grandma Rose, Grace declared. Remember when that rude customer service rep tried to hang up on her? She kept calling back until she got transferred to the CEO. And when our neighbor's dog wouldn't stop barking at night, so she went over there with a pie and convinced them to train it properly? Daniel added. She's like a superhero but with gray hair and really strong opinions about everything, Samuel concluded. Exactly. Now let's go downstairs and pretend we're not planning anything, Grace commanded. We have a family to save, and Great-Grandma Rose is coming to help us do it. As they headed downstairs, they could hear their parents talking in low, sad voices in the living room. But instead of feeling hopeless, the triplets felt excited. Great-Grandma Rose was coming. And when Great-Grandma Rose came to fix something, it stayed fixed. Meanwhile, Michael had quietly slipped into his home office and pulled out his phone. He scrolled through his contacts until he found the name that made his heart race. Jennifer. Hello, sweetheart, he said in a low voice when she picked up. Yes, it's done. I told them about the divorce today. Across the house, Daniel had positioned himself near the office door, and his excellent hearing caught every word. The kids took it badly, but that was expected, Michael continued. Don't worry, love. Soon we'll be free to be together properly. No more hiding. No more sneaking around. Daniel's eyes went wide behind his glasses. He crept closer to hear more. The court date is next Monday. Once the papers are signed, I'll be a free man. We can finally take that trip to Cancun you've been talking about. Just you and me. No complications. Daniel had heard enough. He tiptoed back to Grace's room where his siblings were still plotting. Guys, he whispered urgently. I just heard Dad on the phone with Jennifer. He's planning to take her to Cancun after the divorce. Grace's face turned red. Not if Great-Grandma Rose has anything to say about it. What's the plan? Samuel asked. We wait for Great-Grandma Rose, Grace said firmly. And we make sure Mom and Dad don't sign anything before she gets here. The three siblings joined hands in a circle, making a solemn pact. Operation Save Our Family starts now, Grace declared. For Mom and Dad, Daniel added. For our family, Samuel finished. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to launch the most elaborate family rescue mission Chicago had ever seen. The next evening, the Carter house buzzed with nervous energy. The triplets had spent the day being suspiciously well-behaved, which made their parents even more worried than they already were. They're being too good, Sarah whispered to Michael as they watched the children quietly doing homework at the dining table. When have our children ever done homework without being threatened? Maybe they're just processing everything, Michael suggested, though he looked concerned too. Our children don't process anything quietly. Remember when Samuel found out wrestling was fake? He held a protest in the front yard for 2 days. And when Grace learned that Santa wasn't real, she wrote a letter to the mall manager about false advertising to children, Michael added. They both stared at the triplets, who were sitting together whispering and giggling quietly. This is definitely suspicious, Sarah agreed. What their parents didn't know was that the triplets were stationed by the front window, taking turns watching for Great-Grandma Rose's arrival. Any sign of her? Grace whispered. Daniel pressed his nose against the glass. Not yet, but wait. I see a taxi coming down our street. Is it stopping? Samuel asked excitedly. Yes. Yes, it's stopping right in front of our house. All three children watched as the taxi door opened and out stepped Great-Grandma Rose in all her magnificent glory. She was wearing a bright purple pantsuit with a matching hat so large it looked like she was carrying a small umbrella on her head, and enough jewelry to stock a department store. She paid the driver, grabbed 2 enormous suitcases, and marched toward their gate like a general leading troops into battle. "She's here," Grace squealed quietly. "Look at all that luggage," Daniel marveled. "She's planning to stay until she fixes everything." "I told you Great-Grandma Rose doesn't mess around," Samuel declared confidently. Ding dong. The doorbell rang with such authority that it seemed to shake the whole house. "I'll get it," all 3 children yelled at once, racing to the door. They threw it open to reveal Great-Grandma Rose, hands on her hips, looking like she'd just stepped out of a movie about powerful women who don't take nonsense from anyone. "My beautiful great-grandchildren," she announced loudly enough for the neighbors to hear. "Great-Grandma Rose has arrived to restore sense to this senseless situation." "Great-Grandma." They threw themselves at her in a group hug. "Now, where are those 2 foolish children of mine who think they can just throw away a perfectly good marriage like yesterday's garbage?" "Great-Grandma Rose?" Sarah appeared in the hallway, looking shocked. "What are you doing here? We didn't know you were coming." "Of course you didn't know I was coming. If people knew I was coming every time there was trouble to fix, there would be no element of surprise." "Where's Michael?" Michael appeared behind Sarah, looking equally confused. "Grandma Rose, is everything okay? Why do you have so much luggage?" Great-Grandma Rose removed her large sunglasses dramatically and fixed both parents with a look that could stop traffic. "Sit down. Both of you. Right now." "Great-Grandma, Michael started. "Did I stutter? I said sit down." Her voice was so commanding that both adults immediately sat on the nearest chairs like children who'd been caught stealing cookies. Great-Grandma Rose positioned herself in front of them, still wearing her enormous hat. The triplets gathered around like they were watching the best drama ever made. "So," she began, pointing a perfectly manicured finger at them, "I hear you 2 have completely lost your minds and decided to get a divorce." "Grandma Rose, it's complicated," Sarah began. "Stop right there." Great-Grandma Rose held up her hand. "Every time someone says, it's complicated, what they really mean is, I don't want to work hard enough to make it simple." "Michael, look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Are you cheating on my granddaughter-in-law?" Michael's face turned red. "Grandma Rose, I don't think that's not an answer. Yes or no?" The room was so quiet you could hear the neighbor's TV next door. The triplets held their breath. "Yes," Michael finally whispered, looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Great-Grandma Rose pointed at him like a prosecutor who'd just solved a case. "And let me guess, it's your assistant? How did you?" "Child, please. I've watched every episode of every legal drama ever made. Office affairs are always the assistants." "What's her name?" "I don't see how that's her name." "Michael, don't make me ask again." "Jennifer," he mumbled like a child admitting he broke something expensive. "Jennifer." Great-Grandma Rose threw her hands up so dramatically that her hat shifted slightly. "Of course it's Jennifer. It's always Jennifer or some other girl with a name like she should be selling perfume in a magazine. Well, this Jennifer is about to learn that she picked the wrong Chicago family to mess with." "This is better than any TV show," Grace whispered to her brothers. "Sure," Daniel hissed back. Great-Grandma Rose turned to Sarah. "And you, my dear, sweet, foolish granddaughter-in-law, you're just going to let some assistant steal your husband without a fight?" "Grandma Rose, he doesn't love me anymore. He wants to be with her." "Nonsense. Men don't know what they want half the time. That's why the good Lord gave them wives to help them figure it out." "Michael, do you love this Jennifer?" Michael looked confused by the direct question. I think so." "You think so?" Great-Grandma Rose's voice went up so high that dogs probably started howling downtown. "You're willing to destroy a 10-year marriage and break your children's hearts because you think you love someone?" Well. "And how long have you known this Jennifer?" "About 8 months." 8 months. Great-Grandma Rose clutched her chest. "You've known your wife for 15 years, been married for 10, have 3 beautiful children together, and you're going to throw it all away for someone you've known for 8 months. When you put it like that. That's exactly how I'm putting it. Sarah, how long did you know Michael before you married him? We met in college. We were together for 5 years before we got married. 5 years. And this Jennifer gets 8 months and thinks she can just waltz in and take him? I don't think so. Samuel raised his small hand. Great-grandma, what are you going to do? Great-grandma Rose smiled mysteriously. First, we're going to cancel this ridiculous divorce. Then we're going to remind your father why he fell in love with your mother in the first place. And finally, we're going to make sure Miss Jennifer understands that this family is not available for breaking up. How? Grace asked, fascinated. Leave that to Great-grandma Rose, my dear. But first, I need everyone in this house to understand something very important. She looked at each person seriously. Family is not something you throw away when it gets difficult. Family is what you fight for when everything else falls apart. Do you understand? Yes, Great-grandma, the triplets said in unison. Christopher. Sarah. Do you understand? Both parents nodded, looking somewhat ashamed. Good. Now I'm going to unpack my things, and then we're having a proper family dinner. When was the last time you people ate together without checking your phones or arguing? Michael and Sarah looked at each other uncomfortably. The truth was, it had been months. That's what I thought, Great-grandma Rose said, shaking her head. A family that doesn't eat together doesn't stay together. Triplets, help Great-grandma with her bags. We have work to do. As they hauled her enormous suitcases upstairs, Samuel whispered to his siblings, I think we made the right call. Definitely, Grace agreed. Great-grandma Rose doesn't mess around. I can't wait to see what she does to Jennifer, Daniel giggled. From downstairs, they could hear Great-grandma Rose's voice booming. And another thing, this house is too quiet. Families are supposed to be loud and messy and full of love. Where's the music? Where's the laughter? Where's the joy? The triplets grinned at each other. Operation Family Rescue was officially underway, and they had the best commander in all of Chicago leading the charge. The next morning, Great-grandma Rose gathered the triplets in the guest bedroom for a top-secret strategy meeting. She'd unpacked an impressive collection of items from her suitcases. Old photo albums, cooking spices that smelled like heaven, what looked like costume jewelry, and a notebook labeled Family Emergency Plans. All right, my dear little soldiers, she announced, wearing a bright yellow dress. Today we begin Operation Make Them Remember Why They Fell in Love. That's a very long name for an operation, Daniel observed, adjusting his glasses. The best operations always have long names. Now, first things first, I need intelligence. Tell me everything you know about your parents when they were happy. Grace raised her hand enthusiastically. They used to dance to oldies music in the kitchen when they thought we were sleeping. Excellent. What else? Dad used to leave little love notes in Mom's purse, Samuel added. And Mom used to laugh at all of Dad's jokes, even the really terrible ones about taxes and accounting, Daniel contributed. Great-grandma Rose scribbled notes in her book. Perfect. They just need to remember how to have fun together. But first, we need to eliminate the competition. You mean Jennifer? Grace asked excitedly. Exactly. And I have the perfect plan. Great-grandma Rose pulled out her old flip phone. What's your father's office number? Great-grandma, what are you going to do? Daniel asked nervously. I'm going to call Miss Jennifer and have a little heart-to-heart chat with her. Is that a good idea? Samuel wondered. Child, I once convinced a traffic cop to let me off with a warning by telling him he reminded me of my late husband. Trust me, I can handle one small assistant. She dialed the number and put the phone on speaker. Good morning, Carter and Associates Accounting. Jennifer speaking. How may I help you? Came a sweet, professional voice. Great-grandma Rose immediately switched into character, speaking in perfect English with a slight medical authority. "Good morning, Miss Jennifer. This is Dr. Williams from Chicago Medical Center. I'm calling about Mr. Michael Carter." The triplets' eyes went wide as they watched their great-grandmother transform into a completely different person. "Michael, what about him? Is everything all right?" Jennifer's voice became worried. "Well, I'm afraid I have some rather concerning news. Mr. Carter came in for some routine tests last week, and we just received the results. He's been diagnosed with a very serious condition." "What condition?" Jennifer's voice was getting higher. "I'm not supposed to give out specific medical information over the phone, but since you're close to the patient, I feel I should warn you. It appears to be related to his immune system." "His immune system?" "Yes. And there's a possibility it might be contagious. We're still running tests to determine exactly how contagious." Grace had to cover her mouth to keep from bursting into laughter. "Contagious?" Jennifer's voice cracked. "Like, seriously contagious?" "I really shouldn't say more over the phone, Miss Jennifer. But if you've been intimate with Mr. Carter recently, you should probably get yourself tested as soon as possible, just to be safe." There was a long pause during which they could practically hear Jennifer's brain working. Are you sure about this diagnosis?" "Miss Jennifer, I've been a doctor for over 20 years. When I see something serious, I don't joke around. Poor Mr. Carter is going to need a lot of support from his family during this difficult time. His wife and children will need to focus all their energy on helping him through this health crisis." I see. Thank you for calling, Doctor. You take care of yourself now, Miss Jennifer. And remember, get tested soon." Great-Grandma Rose hung up and grinned at the triplets like she'd just won the lottery. "Great-Grandma, you lied," Daniel said, though he was fighting not to laugh. "I prefer to think of it as creative storytelling for the greater good. Besides, I didn't lie about anything specific. Your father does have a condition related to his immune system. He's immune to good sense." Samuel was rolling on the floor laughing. "You're the best, Great-Grandma." "I know I am, my dear. Now let's see how quickly Miss Jennifer decides that your father isn't worth the risk." Within 30 minutes, Michael's phone started ringing. "Hello, Jennifer," they heard him answer from downstairs. "Michael, we need to talk. I just got a very disturbing phone call from some doctor about your health." "What doctor? What are you talking about?" "Dr. Williams from Chicago Medical Center. She said you have some kind of immune system condition that might be contagious." "Jennifer, I haven't been to any hospital. I feel perfectly fine." "But she knew your name. She knew we were close. Michael, I can't risk my health for this relationship. I'm young. I have my whole life ahead of me." "Jennifer, calm down. There must be some mistake." "No. Michael. I've been thinking anyway. This whole situation with your wife and children, it's too complicated for me. I think we should end this before anyone gets hurt. You're breaking up with me because of a phone call from a doctor I've never met." "I'm breaking up with you because I realize I don't want to be with a married man who might have some mysterious disease. Goodbye, Michael." The line went dead. From upstairs, the triplets and Great-Grandma Rose high-fived each other. "Phase 1 complete," Grace whispered excitedly. "Now for Phase 2, Great-Grandma Rose said with a mischievous smile. "We need to get your parents locked in a room together where they can't run away from their feelings." "How do we do that?" Samuel asked. Great-Grandma Rose opened one of her bags and pulled out what looked like handcuffs. "With a little help from my community theater's prop collection." "You're going to handcuff them together?" Daniel's eyes went wide. "Not just handcuff, darling. Chain. I have a lovely long chain that will give them some room to move around but keep them together. Like a three-legged race that lasts all day." "Where did you get handcuffs and chains?" Grace asked, fascinated. "My theater group is performing a play about pirates next month. I borrowed some props." This is actually brilliant, Daniel admitted. I didn't survive the Great Depression by being stupid, my dear. Now here's what we're going to do. For the next hour, Great-Grandma Rose outlined the most elaborate plan the triplets had ever heard. It involved stealth, strategic timing, romantic decorations, and what she called forced proximity therapy. Everyone understand their part? She asked when she finished. Yes, ma'am. The triplets saluted like proper soldiers. Good. Operation begins tonight after dinner. Grace, you're in charge of keeping your parents downstairs long enough for us to prepare the room. Daniel, you're the lookout. Samuel, you're my assistant with the romantic setup. What if this doesn't work? Grace asked. Great-Grandma Rose stood up, adjusted her hat dramatically, and struck a pose. My dear child, failure is not in Great-Grandma Rose's vocabulary. We're going to save this family if it's the last thing we do. That evening, Great-Grandma Rose executed her plan with the precision of a military general and the flair of a Broadway director. She'd spent the afternoon cooking the most elaborate dinner the Carter family had seen in months, filling the house with the aroma of pot roast, mashed potatoes, and her famous apple pie. Michael. Sarah, she called from the kitchen, her voice carrying the authority of someone who expected immediate obedience. Dinner is ready, and it's a feast fit for royalty. The family gathered around the dining table, which Great-Grandma Rose had set with their best china and decorated with candles that made everything look magical. Grandma Rose, this is beautiful, but you really didn't have to go to so much trouble, Sarah said, genuinely touched by the effort. Nonsense. When was the last time this family had a proper sit-down dinner together? And I mean together, no phones, no television, no distractions. Michael and Sarah exchanged uncomfortable glances. The truth was, it had been months since they'd eaten together without some kind of tension or distraction. That's what I thought, Great-Grandma Rose said, ladling her special stew into everyone's bowls. A family that doesn't eat together doesn't stay together. Now everyone, eat up and enjoy. The triplets exchanged meaningful looks as everyone began eating the delicious food. It tasted perfectly normal, but they knew Great-Grandma Rose's special ingredient, extra chamomile tea mixed into the gravy, was already working its magic. This stew is incredible, Grandma Rose, Michael said, already looking more relaxed than he had in days. What's your secret? Love, my dear boy. Love and a little bit of special spice that helps people see things more clearly. I feel so peaceful, Sarah murmured, blinking slowly. It's like all my worries are just floating away. That's the power of family dinner, Great-Grandma Rose winked at the triplets. Good food, good company, and good conversation can cure almost anything. Within 20 minutes, both parents were yawning and struggling to keep their eyes open. I don't know what's happening to me, Michael mumbled, his words slightly slurred. I suddenly feel so tired. Me too, Sarah agreed, swaying slightly in her chair. Maybe I should go lie down for a bit. What a wonderful idea. Great-Grandma Rose jumped up with the energy of someone half her age. Michael, be a gentleman and help Sarah upstairs. Make sure she gets to bed safely. I can get myself to bed, Sarah protested weakly, but she was clearly struggling to stand. Nonsense. Michael, help your wife. Michael, too drowsy to argue or remember that they weren't really acting like husband and wife anymore, put his arm around Sarah to help her upstairs. The triplets watched with barely contained excitement as their parents stumbled toward the master bedroom together. Great-Grandma, that was perfect. Grace whispered as soon as their parents were out of earshot. The night is still young, my dear. Daniel, go to your lookout position by the stairs. Grace, get the handcuffs and chain from my bag. Samuel, help me with the romantic decorations. For the next 45 minutes, they worked like the most efficient team Chicago had ever seen. Great-Grandma Rose lit candles all around the master bedroom while Samuel scattered rose petals that she'd somehow acquired during her shopping trip that afternoon. Grace arranged photo albums full of happy family memories on every surface. Daniel played soft romantic music from his tablet and kept watch for any signs that their parents might wake up early. Meanwhile, Michael and Sarah had collapsed onto their bed, fully clothed and deeply asleep, lying side by side for the first time in over 2 years. "Perfect," Great-Grandma Rose whispered, pulling out a long chain with handcuffs on both ends. "Now for the tricky part." Very carefully, moving like a surgeon performing delicate surgery, she handcuffed Michael's right wrist to Sarah's left wrist. The chain was long enough that they could move around the room and even go to the bathroom, but they couldn't get away from each other. "Should we change them into pajamas?" Grace asked. "Absolutely not. We're trying to save their marriage, not traumatize ourselves. Besides, they'll be uncomfortable enough when they wake up." Great-Grandma Rose locked the bedroom door from the outside and pocketed the key with a satisfied smile. "Mission accomplished," Samuel whispered excitedly. "Not yet, my dear," Great-Grandma Rose cautioned. "The real work begins tomorrow morning when they wake up. Everyone get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow we find out if love really can conquer stubbornness." And that's how Michael and Sarah Carter woke up that morning, chained together, surrounded by romantic decorations, and forced to confront their feelings whether they wanted to or not. "Rose!" they both screamed again. From outside the locked door, Great-Grandma Rose's voice rang out cheerfully. "Good morning, my dear children. I trust you slept well. Grandma Rose, open this door right now," Michael demanded. "I'm afraid I can't do that, Michael. Not until you two have a proper conversation about your marriage." "This is kidnapping," Sarah shouted. "This is illegal." "Oh, hush. It's not kidnapping when you're in your own house. Now, I've left breakfast on a tray outside your door, along with everything else you might need. The bathroom is accessible with that chain. You have plenty of water. You'll be perfectly fine. How long are you planning to keep us locked in here?" Michael asked, trying to sound authoritative but failing because he was still tangled up with Sarah on the floor. "Until you remember why you fell in love in the first place. Could be a few hours. Could be a few days. That's entirely up to you two." "A few days," Sarah screeched. "The court appointment is Monday, yes? Well, this is Wednesday. You have plenty of time to work things out. Now, I suggest you two start talking. Really talking. Not about divorce papers or lawyers or that Jennifer person. Talking about your feelings, your history, your family." "Grandma Rose, this is insane," Michael protested. "You know what's insane? Throwing away a 10-year marriage because of 8 months of midlife crisis. That's insane. This is just creative problem solving. Now, I'll check on you two in a few hours. Triplets, let's give your parents some privacy." They could hear footsteps walking away, followed by excited giggles from 3 8-year-olds. Michael and Sarah looked at each other, really looked at each other, for the first time in months. They were both disheveled, confused, and handcuffed together on their bedroom floor, surrounded by candles and rose petals. "This is the most ridiculous thing that's ever happened to me," Sarah said. "Your grandmother has officially lost her mind," Michael agreed. "She's your grandmother too. By marriage, which apparently is about to end, so technically." "Oh, shut up, Michael." They struggled to their feet, the chain clanking between them. Sarah looked around at all the decorations, the photos, the candles. Her eyes landed on a picture from their wedding day. Both of them so young, so happy, so in love. "Do you remember that day?" she asked quietly. Michael followed her gaze to the photo. "Of course I do. You were the most beautiful bride I'd ever seen. You wore your grandmother's pearls. You cried during your vows." "I did not cry. I had something in my eye." "Michael, you were sobbing." The pastor had to pause the ceremony. Despite everything, Michael smiled at the memory. "Okay, fine. I cried. I was marrying my best friend. The girl I'd been in love with since sophomore year of college." Sarah felt tears prickling her eyes. "What happened to us, Michael? We used to be so happy. Michael's smile faded. He looked down at the chain connecting them. I don't know. Life got busy. Work got stressful. We had 3 kids who needed constant attention. Somewhere along the way, we stopped being Michael and Sarah and just became Mom and Dad. So you found someone who could make you feel like Michael again? It wasn't like that, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Then what was it like? Help me understand, because I've been trying to figure out for months what I did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, Sarah. You were perfect. You are perfect. That was part of the problem. How is me being perfect a problem? Because I wasn't. You're this amazing mother who manages 3 kids, keeps the house running, remembers everyone's schedules, and still finds time to volunteer at their school. You make it all look so easy. And I'm the guy who works late and forgets parent-teacher conferences. Sarah stared at him. Is that what this is about? You're having an affair because you feel inadequate. No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Jennifer made me feel needed. Important. Like I was good at something besides just bringing home a paycheck. Michael, you idiot, Sarah said, and her voice broke. I needed you. I've always needed you. Do you think it's easy raising triplets? Do you think I don't sometimes feel like I'm drowning? I needed my husband, my partner, my best friend. But you were too busy feeling sorry for yourself to notice. That's not fair. Yes, it is. You decided our marriage wasn't working, and instead of talking to me about it, you found someone else. Someone younger, someone without stretch marks or responsibilities, or 3 kids who need her attention. Sarah. No, let me finish. For months, I blamed myself. I thought I wasn't pretty enough anymore, or interesting enough, or fun enough. I thought if I just tried harder, wore nicer clothes, laughed at your jokes more, you'd love me again. Tears were streaming down Sarah's face now. Michael felt his own eyes filling up. But the truth is, Michael, you stopped trying. We both did. And instead of fighting for us, you took the easy way out. They stood there in silence, both crying, still chained together. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, illuminating all the photos Great-Grandma Rose had arranged. Their wedding, the kids as babies, family vacations, Christmas mornings, birthday parties. A decade of memories surrounding them. I still love you, Michael whispered. I never stopped loving you. I forgot how to show it. Jennifer is gone. She broke up with me yesterday. Something about a mysterious disease, he said with a weak laugh. I'm pretty sure your grandmother had something to do with that. Despite herself, Sarah almost smiled. She's diabolical. She's terrifying. She loves us. All of us. Our family. Michael looked at the chain connecting them, then at Sarah's face. Still beautiful, still the girl he'd fallen in love with all those years ago. I've been such an idiot. Yes, you have. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me because I was too stupid to appreciate what I had. Yes, you did. Is there any chance at all, that you could forgive me? That we could try again? Sarah took a deep breath. I don't know, Michael. You really hurt me. You broke my trust. That's not something that just goes away because we're handcuffed together for a day. I know I have to earn it back. But Sarah, I want to try. I want to be the husband you deserve. The father our kids deserve. Not the man who works late to avoid dealing with his problems, but the man who dances with you in the kitchen and leaves notes in your purse and actually shows up for his family. That's a lot of pretty words, Michael. I mean every one of them. And I'll spend however long it takes proving it to you. If you'll let me. Sarah looked around the room again, at the photos, the candles, the rose petals. She thought about Great-Grandma Rose's words. Family is what you fight for when everything else falls apart. The court date is Monday, she said quietly. We can cancel it. Just like that. Just like that. Sarah, I don't want a divorce. I want my wife back. I want our family back. I want our life back. It won't be easy. We have a lot of work to do. Counseling, probably. Rebuilding trust. Learning how to communicate again. I'm ready to do the work. All of it. Whatever it takes. Sarah looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. What she saw there made her heart ache: regret, love, hope, and determination. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Okay, we can try. But Michael, if you ever, and I mean ever, I won't. I swear on our children's lives, I won't. You're it for me, Sarah. You always have been. He pulled her close as the chain would allow, and kissed her. It was their first real kiss in over a year, and it felt like coming home. Outside the door, 3 triplets and 1 very satisfied great-grandmother were pressed against the wood, listening. Did they just kiss? Samuel whispered. Sure. I'm trying to hear. Grace hissed. I think it worked, Daniel said, grinning from ear to ear. Great-Grandma Rose smiled and pulled out the key. Give them a few more minutes, children. Some things are worth waiting for. 20 minutes later, she unlocked the door. Michael and Sarah were sitting on the bed, still chained together, looking at photo albums and laughing about old memories. Well, 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 Great-Grandma Rose announced, hands on her hips. Have we learned our lesson? Grandma Rose, Michael said, standing up and pulling Sarah with him. You're the most manipulative, scheming, interfering woman I've ever met. I'll take that as a compliment. And I love you for it, Sarah finished, throwing her arms around the elderly woman. Thank you. For not giving up on us when we'd given up on ourselves. That's what family does, my dear. Now, shall I remove those handcuffs? Or do you two need more time? Please, for the love of God, take them off, Michael laughed. I need to use the bathroom without my wife. As Great-Grandma Rose unlocked the handcuffs, the triplets burst into the room and tackled their parents in a group hug. Does this mean you're not getting divorced? Grace asked hopefully. No divorce, Sarah confirmed, hugging her children tight. Daddy and I are going to work on our marriage. It won't be perfect right away, but we're going to try. We're going to be a family again? Samuel asked. We never stopped being a family, buddy, Michael said, ruffling his son's hair. We just forgot for a little while. That's because you're both coconut heads, Daniel said matter-of-factly. But Great-Grandma Rose fixed you. Everyone burst out laughing. That evening, the entire Carter family sat around the dinner table. Really sat, with no phones, no distractions, just good food and better. Conversation. They laughed, they talked, they planned. Michael called the lawyer and cancelled the court date. Sarah called her sister and told her the good news. And Great-Grandma Rose sat at the head of the table, wearing her most magnificent hat, looking like the queen of family restoration that she was. Great-Grandma, Grace asked as they were finishing dessert, how did you know it would work? Because, my darling girl, I know that real love never really dies. It just gets buried under bills and responsibilities and hurt feelings. Sometimes it needs a little help finding its way back to the surface. And sometimes that help comes in the form of a wise old woman, 3 determined children, and a pair of handcuffs. You're not old, Great-Grandma, Samuel said loyally. You're vintage. Vintage. Great-Grandma Rose threw her head back and laughed. I'm going to use that from now on. Not old, vintage. Michael reached across the table and took Sarah's hand. She squeezed back, and in that simple gesture was a promise. To try, to work, to fight for their family. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be counseling sessions, difficult conversations, and moments of doubt. But they would face it all together, as a family. Because that's what Great-Grandma Rose had taught them. Family is worth fighting for. And if you have the right plan, enough determination, and a wise vintage great-grandmother who doesn't take nonsense from anyone, love really can conquer all. even stubbornness, even pride, even 8 months of terrible decisions. Love, in the end, always wins. The end. Did this story touch your heart? Smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming family stories. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that it's never too late to fight for love. Drop a "family first" in the comments if you believe in second chances. And don't forget to check out our other amazing stories. We post new content every week. Thank you for watching, and remember, family is always worth fighting for.